On the outskirts of the Amazon rainforest in Bolivia, elephants live in complete tranquility and peace, thanks to the efforts of members of the Animal Protection Organization who have been working in the region for some time. During one of her walks alongside his big-eared companions, Shankara is visited by Dipankar, the owner of the sanctuary, who says he is proud of the quality of life they have managed to bring to the animals. The man also tells her that his son Raj hasn't visited for some time, and wonders if he'll show up this time, since it will be 10 years since his wife passed away. Sensitized, Shankara hopes that the owner's son will come to them this year, and during the conversation, the pair come across a drone flying over the place. Quickly, the woman commands her mount to pick up a stone, and using her slingshot, she throws the projectile towards the drone, which has its camera destroyed. Far away, in a luxury mansion in Taiwan, Mr. Vane observes the members of the sanctuary from his drone, and is amazed when he comes across one of the elephants, which has gigantic tusks. Realizing that the animal's ivory is extremely rare, the man decides to contact Keshav, his private hunter, who is amazed. The tycoon then claims that tusks like these would generate a fortune on the illegal market, and orders the man to start a maximum efficiency hunt immediately. In one of India's cities, Raj, who has become a successful veterinarian, finishes another day's work, and after finishing his training at one of the local gyms, he receives a visit from Meera, a journalist who has come to ask some questions about the Dipankar sanctuary. However, the man refuses to answer her questions and the woman continues to chase him back to his vehicle. Soon after, the pair see a group of criminals threatening a dog, which is about to be thrown off the bridge, but before this can happen, the men are surprised by Raj. Angry, the vet orders the thugs to drop the animal immediately, and on hearing this, they decide to attack it. At that moment, it is revealed that the man is a great fighter, who breaks the leg of one of the criminals with ease, and after knocking out the other henchman, he manages to rescue the little dog. Realizing the danger, the leader of the group runs to the rest of his companions, and Meera decides to hold the animal while Raj goes after them. Using his martial skills and the objects scattered around him, the veterinarian manages to stun all the opponents who approach him. So that they can hurt their target, a pair of criminals grab lamps from the walls and set off to attack him. Despite this, Raj manages to dodge the attacks, allowing him to knock the men out, as well as pulling down the pants of one of them. After throwing one of the criminals into one of the garbage cans, Raj picks up the man who was going to throw the dog from above and takes him to the edge of the bridge. Noticing that the man has had enough, Raj lets him go, and the thug runs off while being chased by the dog, who is enraged at having been mistreated by him. Seconds later, the animal returns with a piece of the criminal's clothing, and Meera says that if the vet really loves animals, he should visit the sanctuary again. Thinking about what the journalist said, Raj calls his secretary, who buys bus tickets to the city where the sanctuary is. Halfway there, the driver notices that a group of elephants are blocking the road, and the vet decides to walk towards them so that he can find out what's going on. As he grew up alongside these animals, the man is able to communicate with them normally, and discovers that they are in mourning, having lost a member of their family a few days ago. Upon hearing this, one of the pedestrians reveals that an elephant had recently perished, and after stating that he understands the animal's grief, Raj asks them to leave the road. Thanks to this, the elephants politely leave the place, and on his way back to the bus, he runs into Meera, who is traveling to the sanctuary to meet Dipankar. Far away, Mr. Vane talks to Keshav on the phone and says that he has found a buyer for the ivory they are hunting, so they must capture the animal within 3 days. After meeting Shankara again, Raj is extremely excited, and together the pair make their way to the animal sanctuary, where they are greeted by some of the staff. Soon after, the vet meets up with his father, who is thrilled to see his son again after so long. The two then meet in the center of the sanctuary, and when he notices that his father has rejected the gift he had brought, Raj is disappointed and says that the man never liked anything that didn't come from the jungle. Irritated, Dipankar says that this is not true, and the vet asks why the old man didn't take his mother to the doctor when she was ill. The father explains that he had his reasons for making that decision, but Raj doesn't believe him and decides to leave. Seizing her chance, Meera approaches Dipankar and starts planning a big interview with him. Sometime later, the man is reunited with Bola, the elephant with the giant tusks, who was his great childhood companion and used to play alongside him dozens of years ago. Now that they are reunited, Raj and the elephants enjoy themselves around the sanctuary, without even realizing that they are being watched by Keshav. The next day, the sanctuary opens to the public as usual, and the veterinarian is extremely excited to notice that the area is still visited by locals. During the activities, Meera and Shankara chat while walking around the site, at which point they receive a visit from Dev, the ranger. With everything ready, the members of the sanctuary begin the big ceremony, where all the visitors have fun alongside the elephants, who have received a touch of paint on their faces for the special day. Afterwards, everyone gathers in front of the mural of Raj's mother, and together, father and son say a prayer in the woman's name. Minutes later, the members of the sanctuary are enjoying a large dinner alongside the visitors, but just then, a man appears shouting that the elephant hunters are approaching. As he gets closer, Raj realizes that this is Gaja, Dev's father, who was responsible for training the boys when they were younger. Concerned, the vet tries to calm the man down, who says that he has gone to the temple to ask for protection for the elephants, since the jungle is no longer the same after being discovered by mankind. Gaja also reveals that he has a present for his friend, and gives him one of his Ganesha bracelets, saying that it will protect him. Noticing that the man doesn't look well, Sankara and Dipankar help him to recover, and Dev explains that his father never wanted to stop drinking, as it's the only way to relieve his sorrows. Outraged, Raj says that the man should value his father more, and on hearing this, the forester becomes enraged, saying that the vet has never even done anything good for his father. Raj then apologizes for everything he's just said, but Dev tells him that he's not angry, and suggests that next time, he shouldn't take more than 10 years to return to the sanctuary. Sometime later, the guests begin to leave, and Dipankar talks to one of his employees outside the celebration. At that moment, a monkey approaches the man from behind, and after stealing his cell phone, he runs back to his owner, who leaves the place with his animal. At dusk, the elephant Bola walks with his herd around the sanctuary, and when he notices that they are being watched by some intruders, he lets out a loud roar with his trunk. Thanks to this, Didi, one of the elephants, begins to get desperate, drawing the attention of Dipankar, who rushes over to check out what's going on. Before she can be calmed down, Didi ends up destroying the chains, allowing her to escape, and heads off into the woods. Trying to prevent anything bad from happening, Dipankar takes his vehicle and starts chasing the elephant, drawing the attention of all the other members of the house. At the same time, Bola is surprised by Keshav and his team, who are preparing to capture the animal with their weapons. To scare the animals, one of the hunters starts shooting upwards, causing the gang to retreat in fear. Realizing that his father and the elephants could be in danger, Raj sets off on his motorcycle towards the source of the noise. However, before any of the members can arrive, the animals begin to be attacked by the criminals, who eliminate several of them with their guns, while surrounding the others with their electric batons. Seeing his family members being cowardly eliminated, Bola goes after the hunters, managing to throw 2 of them away with his tusks. Annoyed, Keshav orders his team to move away immediately and challenges the animal to hand-to-hand combat, using his gun to shoot one of its paws. As soon as he is hit, Bola falls to the ground, and on hearing the hunter's taunts, he gets up and charges at his enemy. Despite his efforts, the elephant ends up being eliminated by the criminal, who fires 2 more shots into its head, causing the animal to fall to the ground. Nearby, Raj ends up being surprised by one of the hunters, who tries to eliminate him with his machete. The veterinarian then performs a maneuver, allowing him to disarm his opponent. However, Raj is quickly surprised by more criminals, and uses his martial skills to defeat each of them, even managing to dodge one of the shooters. Just then, more hunters arrive on the scene, and despite managing to knock out everyone who tries to attack him, the man ends up being hit by the shock batons, which knock him out instantly. Soon afterwards, Dipankar finds Didi crying in despair in front of Bola's body, which has had its tusks removed by the criminals. Looking around, the owner sees the hunters removing the ivory from the other elephants with their chainsaws, but before he can react, he is surprised by Keshav, who shoots him in the chest. Now that his mission is complete, the leader of the criminals prepares to take Raj with them, but noticing that the authorities have already arrived on the scene, he decides to flee with his victim. However, as soon as he looks ahead again, the man realizes that the veterinarian has disappeared. Desperate, Raj runs to Bola, and while examining the animal's body, he notices that his father is lying in one of the bushes. Before perishing, Dipankar holds his son's hand and begins to smile, saying that the boy has finally come home. Realizing that those were his father's last words, Raj closes his eyes and cries out in sorrow as the authorities approach the scene. When they notice that most of the elephants have been cowardly eliminated by the hunters, Shankara starts crying and runs to Didi to try to calm her down. Soon afterwards, Dev orders all the exits from the sanctuary to be blocked, and Meera breaks down in tears at what she is witnessing. At that moment, Dev and Shankara find Raj sitting next to his father's body, and the guard says that those men will pay for everything they've done to them. At one of the exits from the sanctuary, the hunting party is intercepted by one of the guards, but when they check the compartments of the vehicle, they find nothing but fish and fishing equipment. The next day, the team of rangers light a fire containing the ivory found during the operation, and claim that the only animals that will be hunted in that jungle will be the criminals. Hours later, the members of the sanctuary hold Dipankar's funeral, and are moved to note that all the elephants have turned up to pay their respects to their great companion. At the end of the funeral, the police arrive at the scene and the commander tells them that he needs to ask Raj some questions. The officer explains that they have received information that Dipankar had some connection with last night's hunters, and on hearing this, the man becomes enraged and grabs the man. Irritated by the vet's behavior, the commander orders his subordinates to arrest him, and despite trying to stop it, Dev fails to convince the officers. After being captured, Raj is taken to an interrogation room, and the officer has him sign a form proving that he and Dipankar were conspiring with the hunters all along. However, the man refuses to do this, and so that he won't be late for his family dinner, the commander orders his officers to attack the vet for as long as they need to, until he signs the form. So the policeman tries to hit Raj's hands with his hammer, but the fighter is quicker and manages to dodge each blow. At this point, Raj gets up and, after pushing the men away with his chair, he uses the chains on the table to attack his opponents, knocking out 2 of them. Soon afterwards, the remaining officer throws the table away, and although he is lying on the ground, the vet manages to hit his target with a kick, which knocks him backwards. At the same time, Meera and Shankara arrive at the scene and smash the window with Didi's help. Quickly, Raj frees himself from the chains, and after climbing onto his motorcycle, he asks the women to flee while he distracts the police. Back home, the commander receives an alert that his prisoner has escaped, and orders him to be classified as a high-risk criminal. Now that they're safe, the trio realize that the police are helping the hunters, and Meera shows them the recording she made when the tusks was burned. Raj then explains that this is just a tactic to stop the search, and since the roads are blocked, the ivories are still in the sanctuary. So the man sets off in the direction of the possible places where the ivories might be hidden, and on discovering this, Dev decides to go after him, ordering the women to remain safe in the residence. However, as soon as he realizes that Meera is hiding in the truck, Shankara starts chasing the vehicle with Didi, so that they can help Raj in his search. After a few minutes of searching, the veterinarian manages to find the tusks hidden in a large trunk, and when he meets Dev again, he says that they can capture the hunters as soon as they return for the ivories. On hearing this, the guard asks Raj to leave the place with him, saying that this would be a very risky mission. During the conversation, Meera approaches the pair with her camera and starts recording everything that is being said. Confused, the veterinarian asks what Dev means by that, and the man reveals that in recent times, the financial situation has become worse and worse, leaving him with no other options. The guard also reveals that Dipankar had nothing to do with what was going on, and that him being eliminated was not part of the plan. Dev then once again asks Raj to leave the place with him, but the man is extremely angry at the betrayal and refuses to leave. Trying to convince him, the guard points his gun in the vet's direction, and realizing that his friend won't have the courage to shoot, he challenges him to a duel. At the same time, Shankara approaches the scene on Didi, but halfway there, she is surprised by the hunters, who manage to capture her. After picking up their weapons, the fighters begin their duel, and as they were taught by the same master, neither of them is able to hit the other easily. Despite this, Dev manages to disarm Raj, who grabs a bladed whip to attack his opponent. In a few seconds, the veterinarian manages to throw his opponent's sword and shield away, causing the duelists to decide to continue their confrontation unarmed. Raj then attacks Dev, who is hit by several kicks, and to strike back, he throws his opponent against one of the steps of an altar. After getting up, the veterinarian rams the guard, then punches Dev in the face several times and asks him who was responsible for taking his father's life. However, the guard says that everyone will be eliminated if they try to find the criminals, at which point the pair are surprised by the team of hunters, who knock Dev out. Raj quickly uses the torches around him to defeat the bandits, but just as he was about to finish one of them off, the vet comes across Shankara being held prisoner by Keshav. Having no choice, the fighter decides to give himself up, and before the criminals leave, Dev grabs his gun to shoot them. Trying to stop Keshav from hitting his friends, Shankara bumps into the man, but the shot ends up hitting Raj, who falls to the ground. Soon afterwards, Dev is eliminated by the leader of the hunters, who shouts for his men to bring in the tusks while he leaves the place, along with his prisoner. Sometime later, Raj wakes up to a mysterious voice talking to him, and when he opens his eyes, he sees Ganesha, who orders him to get up and continue fighting. Confused, the man asks how this is happening, and as soon as he gets closer, the figure reveals itself to be none other than Gaja, who came along with Meera. The martial master then begins to tend to Raj, using a boiling blade to remove the projectile from his body. In the morning, Raj wakes up after a few hours of recovery, and without wasting any time, he sets off in search of Keshav so that he can rescue Shankara. In his warehouse, Mr. Vane warns the leader of the hunters that his clients have arrived and orders his henchmen to be on the alert. To surprise his enemies, Raj infiltrates the building on his motorcycle and uses the vehicle as a distraction while he takes on the guards at the gate. After defeating the guards, the man rushes into the building and knocks out the goons so that he can retrieve the motorcycle. Soon after, Raj comes across a group of criminals waiting for him in a car, and after performing some maneuvers to stun them, he uses the vehicle itself to unleash his attacks, allowing him to defeat each of his opponents. At this point, the man is surprised by a truck, which begins to chase him, and in order to avoid being run over, he throws a rock in the driver's direction. Thanks to this, the vehicle ends up crashing and Raj continues his mission, using a ladder to confront the guards on the roof, in true Jackie Chan style. Inside, the tycoons are chatting to their vendors as normal, without even realizing that Mira is infiltrating the place with one of the shrine's employees. At the same time, Raj uses a small crane to cross the warehouse, but as soon as he knocks down one of the criminals, he ends up alerting everyone around. Without wasting any time, the hunters start shooting at the vet, and after rescuing Shankara, he sets off to confront his enemies. Before they can react, Mira is captured by one of the henchmen, who is quickly knocked out by his friend, allowing the pair to go back into hiding. Soon after, Raj fights bravely against the criminals, trying to defeat as many hunters as possible while fleeing alongside Shankara. However, the henchmen end up surrounding the pair, and to keep his friend safe, the fighter helps her onto one of the platforms, allowing him to continue attacking his opponents. Just then, Raj is thrown away by Keshav's bodyguard, who has much greater strength than the others. Trying to help his partner, Shankara throws various objects in the direction of the bandits, managing to knock some of them down. Using the techniques he has learned with his bladed whips, Raj grabs hold of one of the power cables and begins to hit the thug with several electrified blows. Thanks to this, the bodyguard is quickly knocked out, and Mira uses her camera to record everything that is happening and send an alert to the authorities. Before they can get away, the pair are surrounded by Keshav, who rends the fugitives along with all his henchmen. However, the criminals are suddenly surprised by Gaja, who rides up on Didi and attacks the criminals, defeating several of them with his staff. Seizing his chance, Raj grabs Keshav, and after freeing himself, the man grabs 2 machetes to try and eliminate the fighter. Despite being wounded, the veterinarian manages to dodge the attacks, and after disarming his opponent, he delivers several blows as a form of revenge, on behalf of everyone who was eliminated by the hunter. With the leader defeated, Raj rushes to Gaja's aid, and while master and student fight together, Keshav tries to crawl to his weapon. Seeing that the man is about to hurt another one of his friends, Didi becomes enraged and uses her strength to crush the body of the criminal, who is instantly eliminated. With everyone defeated, the tycoons try to flee with their money, but end up being surprised by the police, who manage to arrest each one of them. Just then, the group realizes that Didi is about to give birth to her long-awaited baby, and they try to prepare the animal while Gaja retrieves Bola's large tusks. 3 months later, the elephant sanctuary holds a big ceremony celebrating their return, and after presenting Hope, Didi's calf, the group watches the interview Mira and Dipankar had in the past. In his testimony, the man says that he will never stop fighting for the animals, and tells them that the protection of the jungle has only just begun, as there are still many ways to reverse the terrible practices of hunting elephants. Finally, Raj returns to walk the grounds of the sanctuary on his elephants, and when he receives a call from his secretary, he says that it will be a while before he returns to the city. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.